Because tonight we're talking about all kinds of things. We're talking about Northern Ireland's biggest ever drag queen event tonight. Yep, it's called Opportunity Frocks. And Jerry Walls, a.k.a. Tina Legs Tantrum, is in the studio. Good evening, good evening.
Good evening, good evening, good evening.
How are you tonight?
I'm actually very well, sir. Thank you very much for having me on board.
That's all right. Well, we'll hear all about your big show a little bit later on. But to start us off tonight, we're talking about all things paranormal. We're asking you tonight, do you believe in ghosts and all things paranormal? Have you had a paranormal experience? Or do you have any questions that you would like to ask a real-life Ghostbuster? If you would, get in touch with us tonight. We'd love to hear from you. And talking about that real-life Ghostbuster from the Northern Ireland Paranormal Research Association, Warren Coates is here. Good evening, good evening.
Good evening, Robin. How are you doing?
I'm very well. How are you, sir?
I'm keeping well, thanks very much.
So tell us about NIPRA, the Northern Ireland Paranormal Research Association. It has been going since 1991, hasn't it?
That's correct, yes.
And what exactly do you guys do?
Right, what we do is we investigate people's houses that are reputedly haunted. It's all done free of charge to the public. Places of work and all like that there that people are having paranormal experiences in. They would call us in and we'll go out and do a full sort of paranormal investigation just to see if there's anything in the stories that they have.
And how did you get involved with this in the first place?
A bit of a funny one. I was actually brought up in a haunted house in Bangor, and my whole family had experienced paranormal activity except myself. And when I came to an age of started to study it, I actually went out to debunk the whole thing and prove there was no such thing as ghosts. And instead it was proved to me that 100% there is, and there is a spirit world, and there is things that go on after we actually pass on from the physical world.
So from there then, how did this become the Northern Ireland Paranormal Research Association?
It started with me and one of my friends just sitting talking. We decided to start a group just to see if there'd be any call for it in Northern Ireland. And we run an ad in one of the local papers. The first weekend we'd done it, we got 31 phone calls. And some of them were people wanting to be interested in joining the group. The other ones were cases, people having experiences. And basically it hasn't sort of stopped since there. It's just sort of snowballed the whole way and turned into what it is now. Just, you know, I do work during the day, but this takes up about 90% of my time.
So at the minute, Warren, how haunted is Northern Ireland?
Northern Ireland's actually very, very haunted. I mean, we'd be going all over the province, and we do stuff down south of Ireland and all as well, and we do stuff in mainland England. But Northern Ireland is, you'd be surprised, even the wee tiny towns you go into and all like out there, and the wee hamlets and all like out there, there's a lot of stories about there, and there's a lot of good folklore about, and obviously the folklore actually comes from something, so there is a lot of stories out there.
Of course, the most recent investigation was the Crumlin Road jail. I hear that's pretty scary stuff.
It is. Now, it's definitely got its moments. We were lucky enough to be in there and done like about a 5-month investigation of the whole building. And I mean, some of the things we witnessed ourselves, and we were just a group in it by themselves, locked into it. And some of the things we witnessed was, you know, some people go through their whole lives wishing to experience these sort of things and haven't. You know, we've been sort of lucky enough to have actually been granted that. I mean, you're talking from sort of full figures, doors slamming in our faces, whistling when there's nobody there, footsteps and all that there, the full sort of range of paranormal activity.
All right, Warren, we'll hear about some more of your stories a little bit later on. But in the meantime, if you would like to get in touch with us tonight and share your ghost stories, or maybe you have a question you would like to ask Warren tonight, why not give us a call? 90 236 967 is our phone number. This is Late Call. I'm Robin Elliott. We're live with you right through until 1. And the time's just coming up on 10:15. So if you're just joining us, good evening, welcome along to Monday night's Late Call from Citybeat in 96.7 and 102.5 FM. The weirdest thing has happened. I'm standing up doing a radio show. That's a first on this network. The studio's so full of people tonight.
First time for everything, isn't it, Robin?
Anyway, if you're just joining us tonight, we're talking about all things paranormal. We've got Warren Coates from the Northern Ireland Paranormal Research Association with us tonight. And Louise, you were telling us a bit of a haunted story there, weren't you?
I was, yeah. Basically looking some advice from Warren about a new house I have just moved into. Every night between 3 and 4, I get this sense. I hear like footsteps in the hall, and they're quite distinctive, and the floorboards in the hallway are quite distinctive when they creak, and you get this frozen by this sense of fear. You want to get up and do something, but you're absolutely frozen to the spot. And you were saying to me that's basically the R for paranormal paranormal
It is
activity?
usually between 3 and 4 in the morning.
Yeah.
Like it says, when your sort of heart skips a beat sort of
Yes.
thing and rests. But it's also a time, Spirit Energy, what they'll do is, because people are sort of a lot busy during the day,
Mm-hmm.
a lot of Spirit will do things during when the person's sleeping to show themselves
Yes.
to the people. Because people always get, oh, I dreamt of Uncle so-and-so last night. And what it is the Spirits showing themselves during the night. So people will have a lot of activity during the night. Now I said what I would do is to check first of all, because what you're saying, obviously it could be water pipes or something
Yeah.
like they're rattling, but certainly, as I say, the thing to do is, when you're going to bed, set a recorder up, your sort of mobile phone or something on record, and do a thing called EVP, electronic voice phenomena,
Okay.
and just ask it if there's anything there just to show itself or to make a noise and say its name basically.
Yeah.
And you may be surprised at what you can pick up.
Part of me wants to do it, part of me is actually quite afraid to do it now.
There's nothing to be afraid of. That's the thing.
Yeah.
You've more to fear of the sort of the living and you have
The
of the
living,
dead.
yeah.
They're not going to harm you at all.
Yeah, no problem. Thank you for that.
You're welcome.
1970s, a disco classic, Earth, Wind and Fire, September on Late Call from Citybeat on 96.7 and 102.5 FM. And of course, we're also right round the country on DAB Digital and online as well, 24/7 at citybeat.co.uk. Before that, The Verve and a Bittersweet Symphony. 22:11 now. We're talking about ghosts and all things paranormal. And Warren Coates from the Northern Ireland Paranormal Research Association is still with us in the studio. Warren, Dee's been on the text, and Dee says, my child has said to us that he has seen his granny a few times and has told us things that he wouldn't know about her. Can a kid hear and see the dead?
Very much so. Children are very, very very tuned to the things. Obviously, before they start growing up and adults tell them that the person's passed away and they're not there, the kids can be quite tuned into a lot more so than what the adults would be. And again, you would usually get a lot of sort of family that's passed over would come back to visit the children and all as well. So I mean, we would always say to people, if this is happening, is don't discourage the children. If the children are picking up things and they are saying things that they couldn't have known, it's just let things go, let it take its course, because obviously nothing bad's going to happen to them.
Yeah.
And just let it develop, because as I say, it's a way of laying, or the sort of grandfather, grandmother and all like that, they're just looking in on the family, looking on their grandchildren to sort of say hi, basically. And it's a lovely thought when you think of it, but it's very, very common. And just to let the lady know, I mean, something like that we would deal with maybe 3 or 4 times a month. The same sort of thing would be happening, so it is very, very widespread. Now there's more people sort of starting to realise that, again, with the paranormal, there is something else out there. They're not been so quick to sort of being judgmental and sort of tell their kids that there's no such thing.
Okay, if you want to get in touch tonight, I would love to hear from you at 90236 and 967, or you can text 87474. Francie's been on. He says, I'm a big fan of all things paranormal. Ask Warren, has he caught any orbs lately?
Unfortunately, with orbs, it's a thing we're very, very cautious of. I mean, they're mostly sort of water particles or moisture particles or particles of dust and all, I guess, here. The only way we would sort of consider orbs to be an actual photograph of a spirit is if we're in a room and we sense there's spirit activity in a certain quarter of the room or a certain bit of the room, then we would take photographs of that area. If the photographs, usually when they do show themselves like that, you get maybe 7 or 8 orbs in a row. They maybe showing themselves in like a shape of a person.
Yeah.
But the orbs in general, they're easily taken around where there's maybe white, and getting a reflex of a gloss paintwork, or you're getting there's water nearby or something like that there, glass or mirror or something like that there. It's just a light sort of bouncing off it, or again outside at night time. People take a lot of photographs, and it does show up a lot of sort of moisture particles in the atmosphere.
Okay, now Julie Mullen's been on as well. She says, when somebody dies, is it possible to still feel them around?
Very much so. And again, certain people would say it's just it's psychological. You just don't want to sort of, the person's dead and you don't want to sort of accept that. But again, with what our group does, when we are developing people up to mediumship standard and all like that there, it's to let them tune on so they can feel the presence. And people, again, sort of not knowingly, will actually be able to feel these sort of presence of their loved ones. And as I say, especially maybe a few days after the person's died, they will feel the presence in the house, and they will be able to sort of, as if the person's actually coming back. Again, just to let them know that they've survived the death. There is a life after death, and the ailments that they had here, be it cancer or something like that, there is now gone. So again, that's the thing we would always say to people, is to basically, if that happens to them, is to communicate with the spirit. Just talk to them as if you're talking with a member of the living that's done beside you now.
All right, now Warren, I want to talk to you about this very building that we're in, because this was an old church. We'll do this after the new one from Leona Lewis.
This is Citybeat.
Now, Warren, some more texts coming in tonight. 87474 if you want to get in touch, or why not give us a call on 9236 967. Jennifer Harrison's been on, and Jennifer says, the night my grandmother died, my kitchen clock and wristwatch stopped at the same time. The next few days, my shower broke, the washing machine flooded, and the light fuses kept blowing. Do you think she was trying to tell us something?
I could be. Now, again, obviously, we weren't there, so we have to be very careful in what we're saying. It could be natural things in the house. Could be just a power surge that blew the bulbs and all this here. But on the other side, and what we would deal with, again, spirit would show themselves in different ways. They can manipulate sort of electricity. They can manipulate sort of things around them, and the way they show themselves to the sort of living will be through things they got at first. So there's a good possibility, and you usually do notice, like, if a spirit does manifest something or does make something move, it'll use all the energy it has up, and it'll be a while before it can actually do something again to sort of repel or gets the energy built up again. But I say there's a good chance that if the person has passed on, again, she has come back, and again, maybe she came back at the wrong time, and like Jennifer's been in making a dinner or something like that there, you know, and the only way she has been able to do thing is to be able to actually put a power charge and blow a bulb or something like that. It has been known as, again, it's one of them sort of things that a lot of people will actually have experienced.
Okay, Jennifer, thank you for that. Now, Warren, we're in an old church here in Citybeat. Is this building haunted? People keep telling me they feel certain things in certain parts of the building. And I had a weird experience the other night as I went down in the lift, and the lift came to the ground floor, and it said that it was at the ground floor, but the voice in the lift said it was at the first floor.
Again, a couple of times I've been up before, Robin, and say we had a walk around the building the last time, and definitely, as I say, there is down at the very bottom, the ground level, there is a certain energy down there. I would like to be able to sort of get into maybe a bit of a vigil and sort of see what we can pick up. I think the last time I was here, I think it was actually a lady we picked up on.
Right.
So as I say, what you would get, because being an old church, not necessarily sort of being maybe the minister of the church or something like that, you know, what you would have is all the people would have come in to sort of to pray or to sing hymns every Sunday or whatever. You know, they would have been coming back in visitation as well. So they were used to this place as being a church when they were alive. So it was a place that they would actually come back to. And not sort of necessarily an earthbound spirit, a spirit sort of attached here and actually haunting the place. But what you have with visitation, as I say, it's something they done when they were alive, and they're still getting comfort out of coming back to here.
Okay, in the next 20 minutes or so, can we send you for a wander around the building and see if you pick up on anything?
Love to.
Excellent. Okay, now Jerry Walls, aka Tina Legs Tantrum, is with us in the studio as well. We're going to talk about your pageant very, very shortly. Don't panic.
No worries.
But have you had any kind of ghost experiences or paranormal experiences?
In the past, yes, I have, but I don't really dwell on them because I've just kept them very private, you know.
Yeah.
And I do actually believe in ghosts, but, you know, more so in things like guardian angels, where I don't think of the horror side of it. I think of more the good side of the spiritual world, if you know what I mean. Does that make sense?
It does, Sharon. Again, it's a thing we would always say to people, you know, there's nothing to fear, and to start actually thinking of like things like angels and all that there is the things people should be more aware of.
The lady who texted earlier on and said about the wristwatch stopping and the clock stopping, when my father passed away 2 Christmases ago, and a song came on in the computer that it was very special to him, and I was actually getting ready for work and putting on makeup, and 2 of the light bulbs actually went off and they never worked ever again. So, you know, I sort of would believe in that side of it, kind of thing. It's sort of a message or a sign or something like that, you know.
Great song from Jason Mraz, I'm Yours, on Citybeat in 96.7 and 102.5 FM, just after 10 past 11. If you're just joining us, good evening. Hope we found you well tonight. Welcome along to A Late Call with me, Robin Elliott. We're live with you right through until 1. Louise is still here as well. Good evening to you.
Good evening.
And we've sent Warren Coates out and about around the building to see if he can pick up on any ghosties or paranormal goings on out there. We'll find out more from him a little bit later on. But before that, we're talking about Northern Ireland's biggest ever drag queen event. We've been joined by Jerry Walls, aka Tina Legs Tantrum. Hello.
Good evening.
How are you, sir?
I'm not too bad, thanks. How are you?
I'm very well, thank you. Now, you're getting a bit freaked out by all the ghosty goings-on in here tonight, aren't you?
Yeah, actually, I am. I can feel something. I can feel something, definitely. I can feel a presence, but it's not normally at this time of night I feel this. I'm normally asleep on a Monday at 11 o'clock, thanks.
Tell us all about the event, Opportunity Frocks, it's called.
Basically, Opportunity Frocks is an event. It's a... sorry. It actually... can I start again? Sorry. Opportunity Frocks is a pageant, one of its... I don't know why I can't speak. It's really weird. I feel really sick.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
No, keep on talking because I'm okay. Opportunity Frocks is a pageant of one of its kind. Basically, what happened last year, I entered a drag queen competition, which was the UK's Next Top Drag Queen, and I reached the grand finals, which were in Glasgow, and I came first.
Okay.
And when that happened, then they offered it to me to say, you can do with this whatever you want. So I got myself a small committee, a group of friends, and we got together and we've decided to run it this year as a fundraiser for the Gay Pride Committee here in Belfast.
Now, the thing that I noticed about the event, it's taking place in the Empire. And usually you would expect one of these drag queen events to take place in some of the gay bars around Belfast. Right. So because it's moved to another venue, does that mean Northern Ireland's becoming more accepting to different ways of lives here? Well,
absolutely. I mean, myself, I'm a self-employed drag queen. I work 5, 6 nights, sometimes 7 nights a week, especially coming up to Christmas. The reason for taking it to the Empire is specifically because of the Empire being almost theatre type building. It has the stage, it has the ambience, it's a beautiful place, and just the very fact that we want lots of different people to come to this event. It's not because it's a drag queen pageant. We're trying to get people to come who have never seen drag queens perform before, who would go away to places like Gran Canaria, Spain, where they see drag queens when they're on holidays and think, oh my God, isn't that lovely, isn't that brilliant? And they really enjoy the show. So we want them to come along on the Saturday, the 7th of November, to really enjoy it.
Now, you've been performing as Tina Leg's Tantrum for many years now. Was it difficult for you getting started in Northern Ireland? Because I imagine things were very different when you first started out.
Yeah, 13 years ago it was very different. It was a lot harder, and the only places that I could really perform were in gay clubs, and there weren't that many. There were only 2 back then. So as time has went on, I have noticed a huge difference in the social scene, where now I have 3 or 4 different residencies in places like Lisburn and Carrick and Tantrum and Larne, and also here in Belfast, so I've noticed a huge difference. But back then it was a lot harder, but now today it's a lot easier.
Now, we just got a text into the show tonight that says, what do men get out of dressing in drag? Are we confused by our own sex?
Men dressing in drag, basically, I mean, this is a whole different topic, but it's my job. Yeah. It's a job that I love, and if someone had told me 13 years ago, no, you're not allowed to do it, I still would have been doing it. The enjoyment I get out of it is because I'm a natural born performer. I'm a very good performer. I'm a confident and strong performer, and that relates to all my shows. I'm fully self-employed because I'm a drag queen, so I mean, I do it because it's a job I love, and I'm very, very fortunate to be in this position.
And it's pure entertainment from your point of view,
yeah, absolutely. I mean, anybody can put a dress on for a laugh. I mean, Halloween's coming, let's face it, the amount of men who are going to slip into a pair of stockings, a pair of high heels, and a dress just for one night, and, they are going to have an absolute ball. As the same as for women who are going to dress up, wear a wee costume, go out for a night. Anyone who goes to different places in costume, for example, like a stag night, a hen night, or even a themed birthday party, you put a wee costume on and you will have a brilliant night. It's almost guaranteed. So it's almost the same as a performer, i.e. a drag queen, puts on her makeup, puts on her dress, and away she goes.
Okay, so Opportunity Frocks, the 7th of November.
It is indeed.
In the Empire. Yeah. Where can they get more information?
They can log on to the Opportunity Frocks website, opportunityfrocks2009.co.uk, which unfortunately is temporarily down at the minute, or if you just go straight to facebook.com/Opportunity Frocks.
It's going to be a great night, isn't it?
It
sounds
is.
like something different for Belfast, doesn't
Well,
it?
I mean, yeah, it definitely is. I mean, our sponsors, Lotus Travel, they're from Scotland. They're coming over. Two of the company directors, they have the first prize is an all expenses paid trip for two to Paris, a crown worth over £2,000, and a trophy worth almost over £2,000. And then we have other sponsors like the Kremlin, Michael Quinn Hairdressing, have all come on board. And also, Belfast Gay Pride is the one day where we get together with our brothers and our sisters, our mothers, our fathers, and we celebrate the fact, not because of what we are, but who we are. So in a roundabout kind of way that these people go all year around raising money, we're going to do this for a Gay Pride committee so that they have an opportunity to get even something started, so that's a little bit easier for them.
Of course, it is a recognised charity as well, Gay Pride,
Absolutely,
isn't it? Yeah,
it is.
All right, so the 7th of November, Jerry, the very best of luck.
Thank you very
With that.
much. Tickets are just £12 each.
Excellent. Well, thank you for joining us on
Thank
Late
you for
Call
having
tonight.
me.
And we'll catch up with Warren Coates very shortly as well. We got music on the way from Tayo Cruz, we got Sheryl Crow, and we got this, Daniel Merriweather and Red. Now, tonight I've been joined by Warren Coates from the Northern Ireland Paranormal Research Association, and we sent Warren on a little travel around the Citybeat building here on the Ormer Road, which used to be an old church, to see if there's any kind of paranormal activity. Warren, you're back with us. What did you find?
A couple of things, Robin. Now, there's a few sort of things that came to us whenever I walked around. I had a good walk around the building, down to the bottom, and then up to the top floor, and then towards the kitchen and all at the back. At the bottom floor, just sort of when you come in the building and go left, I picked up on a gentleman. Now, he's quite badly burnt. Now, from what I was picking up, there has been a fire in this building at some stage. Now, obviously, I don't know the history of it. I would like to sort of look back and research the history of it and try and find out. To me, this guy looks as if he's been grounded here. So is there stuff, and I didn't get a name for him, didn't get anything, but he was quite, I would say people walking through that area would be quite aware of him, maybe on a subconscious level, but they would pick up on him. Two names I picked on upstairs. Now, again, walking through one of the rooms, you do feel when you walk in, you feel very very uptight in one of the rooms. Now, there's a load of computers in the room. Now, it could be just a magnetic fields given off by the computers. Could be a thing called infrasound, which people pick up on a subconscious level as well. But what I did pick up on was two names. Now, one was Sharon Moore, and the other name was John McComb.
Okay.
Now, them two names, they're not grounded here. They seem to be in visitation. But again, what I would say to them is they're probably maybe ones that's been here, sort of coming when the place was a church. But I think this place has got a lot more history than what we know, so it'll be very, very interesting. Again, there's nothing what I'm saying here that's going to spook people out. It's not going to sort of possess people when they're going home at nights or anything like that. Yeah. But there is definitely a few energies in the building. The one downstairs would concern me. Obviously, if he's grounded here, it's what our sort of group's here for, is to do something to help that spirit energy actually move on to where it should be.
Now, it was strange there as well. Jerry, who was with us, was telling us that he remembers a fire in this old church building, and something weird happened to Jerry when I was interviewing him there.
That's correct, yeah.
Could that be to do with the spirits in this building?
It could well be, Robin. Now, one of the things is people would pick up on spirit energy in different ways, so especially when they're just sort of tuning into it. And obviously, with Jerry getting in the sort of character the way he does with Tina, what he would do, he'd be that's the kind of thing we would do with people, is we would put them through like a guided meditation, and it's basically tuning themselves into the spirit world. Now, when he said he felt very nauseated, and he just felt like he could feel his heart thumping in his chest, to me, I would say that's spirit energy. And he doesn't look like a scared guy. He's quite a confident guy, but as I say, that would be spirit energy sort of manifesting itself in him just becoming more sort of aware of the surroundings.
And of course, when I was out the front with you there as well, there was like a strange breeze that kind of got colder and colder as we walked along the corridor as well.
Yes.
That was weird, wasn't it?
It is, definitely. You've got a couple here. I would say there's a couple that's mobile. They're showing an intelligence, what we would call an interactive spirit. They're showing an intelligence. They would be trying to communicate with us. And that's why people here out of the peripheral vision or something like that there could see movement, or maybe could hear the odd voice, could hear a man's voice speaking to him or a woman's voice speaking to him. But obviously, again, because you're so preoccupied in what you're doing here, that it would just wouldn't really take any notice. It'd be interesting to see if any other sort of people actually work in the building, have had any sort of things happen to them, and what locations they've actually had them happen on.
All right. Warren, stay there. We'll come back with you in a second. Just coming up to 1:45 Tavares, Heaven Must Be Missing an Angel on Late Call from Citybeat to 96.7 and 102.5 FM. Still to come tonight, a brand new Daily Dilemma on the way shortly. And we're talking about all things paranormal at the minute. Louise, what's happening there on text?
Yeah, we've got loads of texts in for Warren. We've got one here from Gary who says, why don't people just let the deceased rest in peace? Do they never think maybe they're just trying to hold on to something that isn't there anymore? If a loved one decided to come back, do you not think they would show themselves, let the dead rest in peace?
Is that a common thing, Warren?
It is a common thing. I would just like to say that to Gary, certainly what we would do, I mean, we don't go out sort of looking for these spirits. People would phone us up if we're having the activity in their house. A spirit coming back to show itself to their loved ones, there'll be no problems with them at all, and the people will react to them and all that. Where we come into place is if there's an earthbound spirit, and what that is, says the spirit could be someone's maybe died during their sleep, or someone's been killed in a car accident or something like that. Basically, they don't know they're dead. And they're trying to communicate with the living. And no matter what they do, there's people that could be standing in front of you waving their hands, but the people just don't react to them. So what we would do is, because we work with spirit and I got to work with mediumship, we would try on a different level to try and contact these spirits to let them realise that they are dead. All their family, maybe friends, have already passed on, and there's nobody here to hold them, and let them realise that now it's time to move on themselves. So that's what we do. We don't go out sort of just trying to spoil sort of spirits' fun for them.
Is there much negativity to your group from, say, religious groups and stuff like that?
Again, well, what Jerry was saying, the same sort of thing. Years ago there was, obviously we started in 91, we made with threatening phone calls, with going to get us burnt out of the house, and what we were doing is working with demons. The working with demons one still comes up occasionally, so it does. But thank goodness now people, again, because we've gone for so long, we've got a couple of members of the clergy will actually work along with the group.
Yeah.
So now we're getting more recognised. We're not going to go away. We're still going to be here sort of thing. So I think I've just accepted us now.
Okay. If you want to get in touch tonight, 90 236 967 is our phone number. Let's go for line number 1. Good evening, good evening.
Hello, Robin.
Hello, yes.
How you doing? Listen, I wonder would you ask the fella Warren for me? There's a corner I go round in my car every time, and that's in Newton Ards. And just, even if your car's roasting hot with the heating on, just when you go around this corner, over in the passenger side of the seat, just goes freezing cold. But it only happens at that corner. Is that something paranormal, or why does this happen, or is it just the way wind, or,
Yeah.
But it's always something that, I'm going, what the hell is that again? But it's always at that corner. I'm wondering, was somebody either killed at the corner, or, something like that.
Okay, Warren, over to you.
It could be something to do with that. Obviously, as I say, if there has been an accident, there's things going on a different story. There's a thing called ley lines that run around the earth. Now, people can actually, if you drive through a ley line, it can actually make it like an ice cold atmosphere in the car as well.
Yes.
But anywhere where there's been an accident, somebody's been killed or something like that, if you drive through it, or if you're walking past it, you will actually feel a drop in temperature.
It's just at the bottom of Donaghadee Road, where, in Newton Ards there.
Yes, yeah.
Where there's a roundabout, you just turn it roundabout, and as soon as you hit the roundabout and you turn up at Donaghadee Road, it's just like a nice cold feeling comes into the car.
Yeah,
Only over in the left-hand side of the car, that's something I always wondered. Here's me, fun up and asked about that.
No,
it's very interesting nowadays, the show.
No, it's I know exactly what you mean. It could be that. I mean, as I say, again, obviously there's been a lot of accidents and I got there, and I say, people do become more aware of it. Where there has been a bad accident, if you're driving through and there has been a fatality, you can actually feel it if you do walk through, if you're sort of aware of it.
All right, mate. Thanks.
Okay,
All
thanks
right,
very much.
Thanks for your call.
Cheers, Robin. Bye.
Cheers. Bye-bye, bye-bye. Now, Warren, up where I am, around the Drumbo area, there's a church there as well, and people always spot this kind of ghost-like figure on the bend, on the road.
Is that James Haddock?
Yeah, I think, yes.
Yeah, James Haddock, yeah.
Yeah.
Very good, and that's what it is. We've actually witnessed a couple of things up there ourselves now over the years.
All right. Okay.
His headstone keeps falling over.
Yeah?
In the church. They put the headstone up, and I'm not sure, I don't think they do it anymore, but apparently used to erect the headstone, and when they came in the next day, the whole headstone was land flat again.
Wow. Excellent.
It's a good place.
There we go. Okay, you're listening to Late Call here on City Beat with me, Robin Elliott. We're live with you right through until 1.